Cancer 22, a woman expecting a sailboat. Imagine just looking out at the horizon of the sea, hoping that you're going to see a sailboat just coming over the horizon to come home to you. Maybe it's her husband or her lover she's waiting for. And the image here is of the mood, the emotional state of that woman who cannot do anything to make the sailboat come externally in specific terms. All she can do is expect it, hopefully, and know that that hopeful expectation has consequence, is a power. This is yin power, the power of the feminine, to draw something towards it. Not much understood. It's generally understood that you need to be willful and clear-minded to get what you want in life. But it's not the only way. You can imagine what you want and hope for it and turn that hope into expectation. There's a very big difference between wistful wishing that something could occur and expecting it to occur because you hope it does. A very big difference. And there are those who can know that when they choose to have something happen, it will happen without anything that they do to make it happen. Now, in order to do this, we need to develop the silence of meditation. Meditation is very much to do with stilling the mind and stopping that noisiness, that chatter that comes from thinking and worrying and planning and all of this, which can easily, very often, lead to confusion. And confusion is scrambling of everything. It's a scrambling of intention, a scrambling of expectancy. It's just all muddled up. And since the mind is the creator of life experience, that confusion creates a confused life. We really want to deal with confusion first and foremost. We find it to be troublesome when we're confused. When we're clear-minded, we can deal with things. So here we have the clear-mindedness, which is inwardly directed. What we're doing is not so much expecting particular events, but simply expecting certain qualities to unfold. These are associated with the soul rather more than the ego. So the soul is all about qualities. The soul does not concern itself with scenarios or events or ambitions, these kind of things in worldly terms that can be measured. The soul concerns itself with qualities that it chooses to develop through life experiences. So, if the soul wants to develop a deeper sense of love, then it would choose a situation, one or two or three or four situations would do, whereby love can be developed. The actual situations don't matter. What matters is that they they support the development of love. So we're talking about the difference between the idea we have about reality and actually how reality is. So the idea we have about it is that there's a pyramiding of facts. This takes place because that took place earlier, and that will take place next as a direct result. This, what's called Newtonian view of life, cause and effect. That's not the way it is. It's an unfolding. It's amorphous. It's unpredictable in some ways. There's a waveform below all that's happening. And if we can touch the waveform, then we can make some predictions about the type of events, but not the events specifically themselves. And I think it's worth mentioning that astrologers are not always clear-minded about this point. That the idea that astrology can predict the future, I find that is the case as long as we talk about the future of qualities rather than the future of events. I don't think we can predict events. I don't think anyone can. I don't think events in the future are specifically known. But I do think that we can relatively easily identify the waveforms that are all converging and diverging and interacting with each other and creating complex children of the parent waves. I think we can look at that in astrology, and we can make reasonable inferences about the flow of things. And we can do this through meditation as well. We don't need a specific method like astrology or tarot or something. We can actually access that waveform of reality directly in meditation. If we move into silence, then the underlying pattern that interpenetrates life and supports the bubbling up of events and situations and scenarios, that pattern underneath it all, that dynamic waveform, the flow of things, that can be known. We have a situation in history today where the right is on the rise. There's more right-wing politics. There's more separation between the haves and the have-nots than there was when I was a child. And this is a slow-moving pattern of development, and it goes up and it goes down. Sometimes democracy is in ascendancy, sometimes tyranny is in ascendancy, and it always has. Throughout history, there's been attempts to share the goods and the burdens of responsibility more widely, and times when it's been contracted into the hands of a small number of people, sometimes even one person. This is just a waveform. And if we understand where we are on that wave, are we on the up or are we on the down of whatever quality we're studying, then we can make our decisions based on that knowledge. So this is about uncertain expectancy. We're aware that something's coming to us. We can feel some sense of expectancy, but we don't know what it is. And the training that we can go through in meditation is to be in silence on a very deep level and not mind what's coming. It's not the same as not care what's coming. We do care that what comes is wholesome and good, but we don't really mind very much whether it's from this event or that person or whatever. And this is to do with spiritual poise. If we've gone through a lot of meditation and gone through an emotional process and we're pretty clear about how to work things out in life, then we develop a sense of poise that knows that whatever comes up, we can cope with it, and we can cope with it easily. It's interesting or less interesting, it's challenging or less challenging, but it's what to do today. It is simply the day's work to deal with what comes up. And we can extend this to all levels. This can be possible in even dealing with the end of a relationship or the death of a family member or failure in situation or bad luck at work or financial ruin. We can actually cope with all of these things as though it is simply the challenge of the day. This is easily possible with a meditator, but I don't think it's easily possible if we fail to find that inner silence. When we do have access to that state of being, something interesting becomes known to us. We can see that ideas themselves have life, and they have life expectancy. They last for a while and then they don't continue anymore. And they have impact. They create further ideas that brings about other events and so on. And we can see that when we have an idea, it's like creating a life form. In fact, really, it is creating a life form, although it's not measured in the physical world. It's measured more in the astral world and perhaps higher planes. So when we think something, it sets up an impact, an impulse that has an effect. So if we can manage to contain our thoughts so that only thoughts that bubble up from this place of inner silence are allowed out into the world, then we've really realized the secret of life. If we project thoughts into the world, the ideas that we have that might come from a place of anxiety or depression or disappointment, those thoughts stretch out into the future and create events to validate them. Whereas if we have thoughts that are to do with faith and quiet expectancy that whatever happens, all will be well, then those ideas stretch out into the future and all is well. That's how to master life. Just find that inner silence and only allow the thoughts that you have bubbling up out of it into your ideas. Don't grasp these feelings if they're negative. Grasp them and make them clear when they're positive qualities. And then all is well.